Hi everybody, Curtis here from Goth Rider Creations, and in today's episode I'm making yet another couple of tools for the workshop. Now this one involves the palm router, some random scraps of wood, a lifting platform that I got from Wish for £12, and the cheapest, nastiest gauge plate you could buy, pre-drilled for a router, that cost me £8 from Wish. Now, initially, it's really the most basic thing you can do. I've taken a scrap of wood that's big enough, marking out where I want the gauge plate to be, and then just make it fit. Obviously, testing to make sure that the gauge plate lifts well on the mechanism. It is cheaply made, it is a bit budget, so I wasn't expecting miracles. And as you can see, I didn't get any. The screws were not drilled correctly and protruded about 2 mil above the top of the plate. So out comes the trusty drill and the step drill bit, and we're going to make it fit. Now, I know some of you will think, why on earth are you making one when you could buy one second hand for about £20 on Facebook Marketplace? And that is absolutely true. In my area, it's more like £50. But I wanted a wider base. The ones you can buy from the shops are about 10 centimeters deep, about 4 inches. They're only good for strips of wood. They're no good for doing a guitar. So I figured if I've got to build one anyway, I might as well do a Goth Rider special, make it cheap, cheerful, and simple. So once we've got the new holes drilled through, just double check the countersink, and we're in business. So next we just drill a big ass hole and then jigsaw out the hole we need for the router. Now it's a slight fine line. You need to make it big enough that the router base will fit comfortably, but not so big you end up with ginormous gaps for the gauge plate. So be careful you're marking out. And from there, just set your depth for your gauge plate and route yourself out a channel. Try and give yourself about ½ mil if you can clearance, because you don't want it so low that the item you're routing is going to start dropping down, but at the same time you don't want it proud. So take your time and wear the proper PPE, everyone. I'm an idiot. And then, yeah, you literally just route out the space you need for the plate. From then, just make sure that you've got it right. It's sitting flush, it's not dropped anywhere. And then as a final check, put a straight edge across there and make sure it's not proud. And then it's just the easy stuff. Get any scrap pieces of timber you have that's half straight and half decent. Make sure that you actually put the router in place, set it to its maximum or lowest point, maximum drop, and then just cut some legs and some perimeter timber. You could go a lot fancier if you wanted to, but I didn't have the time or the inclination, so a basic perimeter and 4 legs will do the trick. And then, using the very famous Izzy Swan technique, super glue down your pieces of wood and then just whack a few screws in there. It really doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. And yeah, a little bit of super glue if you've got the... Or I wanted to make sure I could remove the legs if needs be to make it a little bit deeper. So a few screws and you're done. And of course, double check the lifting mechanism actually works. So now that's done, it's time to build a sander. Now obviously this is a sander. This is a plug-in belt sander that me and Mrs. Goth Rider found on Facebook Marketplace for £10. And I need to try and make myself something with it. Now, as you all know, I would love a Triton spindle sander. I would really love one. But unfortunately, I don't have £200, and they still haven't got in contact about sponsoring the channel. Again, not upset, just disappointed. But in the meantime, I need something a little bit bigger than the spindles I've been using on the pillar drill. So I just figured I would try my best. What you're seeing here is old school templating, old school prop makers work. Literally, the director says, I want you to invent this thing that doesn't exist. You get a rough idea of what it's meant to look like and function. You take a load of scrap timber, scrap foam, scrap plastic, anything you can get your hands on, anything from the recycling bin, and you cut it up, stick it together, and see if you can make something that works. Try it out, see how it goes, see what improvements you can make, and then present it to the director and see if they're happy with it. So it's basically exactly the same process. Try and level out the sander so it is where it should be. Take random pieces of timber, measure up, glue bits in place, and just see if it works. I'm not expecting miracles out of this thing. As I said, I already have the spindles with the pillar drill, so I already have a sanding capability. But with the paper guitar that I'm currently building, I need a large flat area to be able to sand the straight areas of the guitar. So I figured for some scrap timber and an hour of my time, it was worth giving it a go. Using the sander there, you can see I'm getting all of the levels perfectly straight. Getting a basic base level put in there. The joys of the super glue. And then the only semi-trick part is just to sand in a little bevel into the front, so then the plate will match the curve of the belt. And then at a later second I realised it was probably beneficial to make myself a big ass hole, so then I could actually access the adjustment screw on the side to level out the belt. And then from there, just a few access holes, the trusty pack of cable ties, and then just zip the thing down, making sure that you are able to cable tie down the power button and the safety switch, because otherwise what's the point? And finally just shimming the edge of the belt sander to make sure you've got dead 90 degrees on the belt, and then super glue down the base. And there you have the world's jankiest, crappiest belt sander. Oh, and there you have it. I know they're a little bit janky, they're not exactly high-end, but sometimes you don't always need them to be. The amount of times I've seen my fellow guitar makers literally clamp a router with an extension onto the side of their bench and use that as a router table. I don't like the idea of it personally. There's no guard, there's no way of maintaining it. If you just need to do something quickly in a pinch, fair enough. I think this is a little bit more sturdy. The sander, not so much. But it's more of an experiment than anything, to be honest. If I find it useful and it's going to do the job I want it to do long term, then I will actually design up a proper mount. I might even enlist a couple of friends of mine who do 3D printing to see if they can actually make me a custom base that will fit this properly. But initially this will do. I only need it to sand out some edges on the body and the neck that I'm working on, and yeah, this is sturdy enough, it will do the job. If it does fall apart, I'll stop using it. It's as simple as that. So yeah, that is a very budget, very DIY way of making yourself a router table and a horizontal sander. I'm not even sure what you'd call it. It's a oscillating spindle sander that doesn't oscillate. It's a 90-degree belt sander. Who knows? So yeah, there you have it. As usual, please throw us a comment, let me know what you think. Obviously, be nice, we both know this thing's crap. And yeah, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all on the next one. Take care.